Hello, Namaste. Welcome to Dev's Hammer Show. Dev's Hammer Show is weekly English talk show and flagship television program of ITV Nepal and Indigenous television. In this weekly talk show, I invite guests from different walk of life or different continents to discuss on various contemporary issues that is related with Indigenous peoples. Today, in these programs, I have invited a guest, very renowned guest, Professor Surichai from Chulalongkorn University from Thailand, and he actually is the champion to introduce the Indigenous peoples courses in his university back in the year 2000. And as he is visiting Nepal to attend the launching program of a one-year master program that the Kathmandu University is launching. So in this occasion, I have invited a professor in the studio of Indigenous television. And first of all, before going into discussion, let me welcome him in my show. Professor Surichai Wangal,
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Before starting or going into a discussion, could you please introduce yourself? In the background, I told you, I just introduce yourself a bit. But could you introduce yourself and your connections with the universities in Thailand?
Thank you. It's my honor to be in this program. I am a retired professor, but still at the moment emeritus professor for sociology at Chulalongkorn University. I was much involved with starting international development studies program as a graduate program in Thailand. Now it has become a 20-year program now. I mean, already 2 decades. So
Right.
It's an honor to join this ethnic and also ethnic studies and development future discussion here at the Kathmandu University.
So, Chulalongkorn University, which is based in Thailand,
Yeah.
right? And I actually listened about your presentations about the Thailand, let's say Indigenous peoples of Thailand and the government position. Could you, for the brief knowledge about my viewers, could you tell briefly about the Indigenous peoples of Thailand in general and the Thai government's positions in regards to Indigenous peoples?
In Thailand, I think the more compare two words, development and indigenous peoples. If we can compare, in Thailand, the word development has a more broad and more recognition because it has been a national development plan, national socio-economic development plan, and for that, for the country called Thailand, we need a national development of the country and for the people of Thailand. For the word, indigenous, I think in Thailand the government do not recognize this word, but we have recognized the context where Thailand also have tribes, have mountainous tribes, and have plain people of different ethnic groups. You see, we use these kind of words, but the policy language of the so-called indigenous has not been formally recognized. So in Thailand, the word is something used in the civil society, is more used in people who are interested in engaging with the global decision on now, like issue of climate change, issue of multicultural education, and also about the local livelihoods, like that. So the background of Thailand, because may I mention that because Thailand as a name of the country is also something new. Before it was called Siam. It was called Siam and in the context of changing the name to Thailand, it was much related to how the government at that time were also concerned with unifying the country, making we all recognize one culture, one identity. So one culture, one identity, all related to the word Thailand, and the word Thailand was to be supposed to be formally propagated as the name of the nation. That was in somewhere in 1946. So 45, 46, around that time. And the recognition is that land of the Thais, not land of everyone belong to Thailand as a country. So they don't recognize the different ethnic and also different tribes in formal terms. Later also, because of the 60s and 70s, because of the Cold War, you can remember the Vietnam War, Cold War, we experienced that part. So that also became a kind of political structure, kind of political atmosphere that emphasized the word unity. So diversity has been not strongly highlighted, but more the word unity has been mainstream. So I think you can understand easier now that with the background of changing the name of the country and changing and also the atmosphere of Cold War in Thailand, that was until 80s. So now I think in globalization, in say recognition of no one should be left behind in the context of global agenda, in the context of SDG, in the context of this globally recognized policy, and also the UN DRIP, Declaration for the Rights of the Indigenous People. Somehow, although Thailand didn't recognize the word, but Thailand also recognized that it should also practice or implement the UN Declaration. So we are now hoping to embrace it more meaningfully. That is the case.
So the interesting part, you said that the name itself, the Thailand, the land of the Thai, that means the government actually tried to assimilate all the ethnic groups, even though there is a diverse ethnic community, and Thai government actually tried to assimilate with the land of the Thai. One aspect that I understood from your. Another one, as you said, that the Thai government is giving more priorities for the development rather than the indigenous peoples. Is that so?
I can relate to what you said now, because the concern is to move ahead, advance together. That was also legitimate, but the recognition of the diversity was not well recognized, so it created some problems as well. The mistreatment and also human rights problem, also issue of discrimination. So along the way, somehow you can see the injustices were committed because of the kind of cultural, the recognition of different cultures, different ethnic peoples were not fully grounded. So that became now we recognize that part. So the background of cultural policy of Thailand was also because the royal household, which has been ruling Thailand since Bangkok period, that means some 245 years. Bangkok dynasty or Chakri dynasty has been emphasizing how we make a country, and also the culture is having the religion as a more facilitating and So there were efforts to talk about this in terms of when there is constitution, there were issue of national religion. But somehow Thailand were able to balance itself, not use Buddhism, although Buddhism majority of the people recognize Buddhism. Only maybe 4% Islam and some few percent other religion. But still, we did not like Christian about 10% like that. So the recognition of the reality is there, but to use the word national religion for Buddhism was prevented from bringing into the constitution. So that allow the multicultural embrace of Thai. But you see, the core policy, cultural policy by tradition was based on assimilation. Assimilate the Chinese, the migrant workers from mainland China. We have a lot. So we assimilate a lot of people, make them Thais. So that in some way become, as you rightly mentioned about cultural assimilation, had been a mainstream policy. But now I think we are now trying to learn how to be more flexible, more embracing, because the global reality is also global policy cooperation also demand that we can do more, we can do better for a more balancing intercultural competence among our people.
So the Thai government doesn't legally recognize indigenous peoples as such, but you told me in the background that in the year 2000, in your leadership under the university, you introduced the Indigenous Studies course in the universities that you're affiliated with. How that idea of introducing the Indigenous Studies in university actually came in 2000 and in the year 2000? I mean, no, it has been already 2 decades. And how that idea came, and why that studies or the courses on Indigenous studies is important for the indigenous peoples, or in general the peoples of all backgrounds.
May I mention that when I first started with colleagues, we started International Development Studies program. The recognition was under globalization. We also need to recognize the other process of marginalization. Globalization, economy, politics, culture, but we also need to recognize the issue of inequality or imbalances. So along that line, the issue of marginalization was recognized from the beginning of our start. But we did not at that time yet have any clear recognition of the indigenous issue in the course. We recognize that the multiculturalism are big challenges, etc. Now, with the challenge of development mainstreaming, is also a lot of risk for marginalized peoples, and so we need to recognize that we need to root our economy not in the global level alone, but need to root ourselves in our own grounds. So local and global and local relationships and dynamics have been our concern, and along that line, I think the issue of indigenous became more recognized in our thinking. In Chula, in research circles, there are people who work on indigenous and also these cultural or ethnic issues and policies. We don't have a formal course, formal program on indigenous issues yet. So now, with my participation here in Kathmandu University at this launch, I think we feel that we can also work toward a collaborative style into the future.
In recent days, there has been a fashion. The universities from different countries introducing the courses on indigenous issues. Thailand is no doubt, obviously, in university you haven't introduced. Philippines and Germany, let's say Canada and other United States, they have already introduced with. And why do you see any importance of these courses in general for indigenous peoples, or why these universities are introducing these courses? Or is it the fashionable?
It looks like some kind of new fashionable thing, but there are some currents behind it. There are globally recognized awareness of missing, or awareness of our own weaknesses in organizing education, because globalization was mainstream in a more from a enlightenment, like European enlightenment and industrialization and globalization, and mostly Eurocentric, mostly faceless globe. But I think increasingly we know that rootlessness of human communities have become serious challenges. Psychologically, culturally, rootlessness become serious challenge in the kind of development we are dealing today. And also globalization bring a lot of young people who are driven out from their own communities, and now many people have new ways of discovering their own roots. There are new ways of discovering the meaning of their own linkage to their own culture sometimes. So in that, I think the world of cultural interaction make this a strong factor. The other more important factor is a recognition of what we have done to the earth. The mainstream development has done to the earth by human economies and human concern for material development, make cultural poverty among ourselves. And that not only for ourselves, but poverty for how we deal with the planet. The planet has been over-exploited. The ocean and the forest and all the resources mainly used for mainstream productions. And now we have lost how to maintain it by using only scientific knowledge. So the missing, now the university, some university more, not all, the mainstream are still mainstream. The recognition are coming into a few universities in the world, recognizing that we need to hurry to correct our mistakes, and correct the mistakes by starting new opening for windows of new learning, bring the knowledge of that we have lost into a more systematic program, and how to bring that into a recognized degrees. But do all this cannot be meaningful if we don't relate to the real communities. So everything must be co-produced or co-created with the communities of the indigenous peoples who are very diverse. And these are becoming a new momentum, but still not the mainstream. I do hope that this has been supported by some recognition under the climate urgency, and also the global forum on biodiversity that recently finished in Canada, Montreal, that came up with a Kunming Montreal Biodiversity Framework. So all this recognize we have lost a lot, and we cannot recover the biodiversity loss if we don't relate to the knowledge systems of the different people who used to live with the nature more harmoniously. So I think all this mean that we all have to find new ways of collaboration.
The irony is that the indigenous peoples or young indigenous peoples accessing to higher education is something challenging, even though, as you said, that even if it is fashionable courses, some universities, even if they want to correct their mistakes they are introducing with. And with this message, I would like to thank you, Professor, for your time and esteemed thought. And if you have any words, any final words before we close.
For a Buddhist from Thailand who visit Nepal, Nepal make me feel that we have many deep relationships with each other, and our people also deep with other people who share that the world should not only belong to humans, but it should be, humans should not be too egoistic, and how to learn about this by making ourselves more responsible. So I think having these indigenous issues in our exchange, so that we can learn how human and non-human can be more effective in our rebuilding and recreating the future. So I look forward to our more exchange and more collaboration among our institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Surichai Wangal, for your time and esteemed thought you shared, especially about the importance of the academic courses on indigenous issues. Today, in our weekly talk show, I had invited Professor Surichai Wangal, who comes from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand, and he is the retired professor, the emeritus professor of sociology of development, right?
Yes.
And thank you for your time. And as we have come to the end of the show, next week I will invite new guests and come to discuss on new issues. By then, if you have any queries in relation with the program, you can reach me at indigenous television@gmail.com. By then, have a nice weekend. Bye-bye. Namaste.